Welcome to the Random Green Podcast, the best podcast, the worst podcast you never. Okay, it's just a podcast. All right, whatever. I guess it's a podcast. It's probably not the best. It's probably not the worst. It's you never heard of it at least, so I guess that's good. Anyway, that's a terrible intro, but I'm not gonna go back and delete it. It's live. I can't go back and delete it. This is live. Okay, it's not live. But anyway, thank you for stopping by the Random Green Podcast. Today I want to talk about Zach Wilbur Preston from Schenectady, New York. He was originally born in Nevada in a farm north of Reno, about 50 miles northeast of Reno in Nevada. But his family decided to go to New York, where they're originally from, and this Zach Wilbur Preston guy was an amazing individual. He came up with a telescope that was so advanced, so powerful that you could actually see the Andromeda Galaxy crystal clear. And not only that, you could see the planets, but not only that, the stars and the planets in the Andromeda Galaxy, but not only that, the podcast, the podcast, the story is incredible, and it's a true story, obviously, because I wouldn't share. This is a true story. It's not like all my podcasts are going to be true. Well, it's embellished a little bit, but this one is 120,000% accurate. Actually, 2.5 million light years accurate, because that's how far the Andromeda Galaxy is. It wasn't that funny, guys. Okay, but anyway, 2.5 million light years away is the Andromeda Galaxy. Zach Wilbur Preston invented the telescope so advanced he's able to see the surface, not only that, get this, surface of other planets in the Andromeda Galaxy. He was able to do this. Also, get ready for this. You're able to see homes and different structures in the Andromeda Galaxy, like individuals that live on the planet. I mean, it's just such a advanced super telescope that this Zach Wilbur Preston is an amazing scientist. And, but of course, the governments had to get involved, and they said, nope, Zach Wilbur Preston, we're not going to, actually, they wanted to hijack that and take it for themselves and get their own credit and say, because Zach Wilbur Preston was the one that invented this, and he was the one that developed this, and they wanted to, the government, the Pentagon, CIA, all wanted to take the powerful telescope, use it for themselves, take credit, but Zach Wilbur Preston, being the character, or the man of goodness, or whatever you want to call it, a good person, he threw all away the blueprints. He had to destroy the telescope because he didn't want to get it in the government's hands, because the government would take credit for it, and Zach Wilbur Preston would just absolutely, you know how the governments are. Absolutely terrible how they basically Again, this is why we shouldn't put our trust in politics. Again, this is not why we should not only, this is why we should all vote for Vermin Supreme, the parody candidate for president 2024. But Zach Wilbur Preston he will not, I will not mention him. I will mention him and I will not forget about Zach Wilbur Preston. Zach Wilbur Preston is an amazing person. But the government, again, the governments always have to ruin this. And Zach Wilbur Preston, he's working he's doing some good stuff in Schenectady, New York, and he's doing some good stuff there, and he's invented stuff that he doesn't want the government. Of course, the government tracks him, and he's like, you can't do this, you can't do this, and again, the government's people. This is what we have to understand: is that the governments are always ruining things. They do more harm than good. Really, they do. But I don't want to, virtue signal the government and say that you can't do this or you can't do that. You make up your own mind. Even though we all know that Vermin Supreme is the best candidate, because Vermin Supreme, he would bring intergalactic peace to planet Earth, and he would have directed Zach Wilbur Preston to greatness. Of course, people just don't want to. They want to be. It's just crazy. Vermin Supreme would actually direct Zach Wilbur Preston to the Andromeda Galaxy species, the individuals that live there that are 2.5 million light years. He would have brought true intergalactic peace. We'd be able to travel the galaxies. But no, individuals just don't want to support Vermin Supreme. Zach Wilbur Preston does. In fact, we're going to be able to travel the speed of light with Zach Wilbur Preston and Vermin Supreme. But no, the government's restrictions and all that stuff, absolutely crazy. And this is why my channel on YouTube, we all know it's the best channel, but it's restricted by YouTube. See, they don't like to share. And what I mean by restricted is they don't like to share my channel. And they don't like to share these podcasts because they know that Zach Wilbur Preston he would probably go back and his skill set, he would probably develop this telescope and develop a vessel that would go the speed of light. You see, Zach Wilbur Preston is an amazing story. And I wanted to keep this podcast brief. So I realize that you guys are extremely busy with your lives. Not as busy as my friend, though, of course, because sometimes he has to go to the grocery store. So I want to thank you all for coming on the Random Green Podcast and listening to this amazing podcast. All right. Whatever. Thank you.